It's the rat race. You get paid. You pay bills. You treat yourself to a couple of things you didn't even need. And suddenly you're broke, counting down the days until your next paycheck. You feel like you're working your ass off, but the money just disappears, and saving sounds like a foreign language to you. But what if the problem isn't that you don't earn enough? What if the real problem is that you have no idea how to manage what you do earn? What if I told you there's a method so simple it takes 5 minutes to put you back in control of your entire financial life? It exists. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to use it so you stop living with your back against the wall every single month. You feel trapped, with zero plan for anything, no house, no trips, no boats. This is exactly where the 50-30-20 rule comes in to save your ass. It's a simple way to split your paycheck into 3 categories: needs, wants, and savings. But before we break down what goes in each bucket, you need strict control over your money, because if you're not tracking where it goes, you'll never know which category you're actually overspending in. That's why we're going to walk through this with a financial planning spreadsheet. Everyone should have one of these. If you don't, grab the link in the description. Now, with our tool ready, let's break down the 50-30-20 rule step by step. The first chunk, 50%, goes to your needs. And by needs, I mean the expenses that, if you don't pay them, you end up living under a bridge. We're talking about rent or mortgage, electricity, water, and gas bills, groceries, transportation to get to work, and insurance that actually protects your life. These are the expenses you have to pay no matter what. And let's be honest, Netflix or that $5 latte from Starbucks does not belong here, no matter how much it hurts to hear that. Those are wants. Let's go to the spreadsheet. First, we log our income. Let's run this example with a $1,600 monthly salary, a pretty standard income in most cities. In the spreadsheet, you can log every type of income you receive. But for this example, we're keeping it simple, just one salary. Now let's go to expenses. We only have 50% of that salary available. That's $800. We all know the elephant in the room right now. Rent prices in major cities are insane. So if you want to actually save money, you might need a roommate or move slightly outside the city center. Let's say you find a shared apartment that costs $750 total, and your share is $375 a month. Since it's a shared rental, you don't have any extra housing-related costs beyond that. For utilities, and you know these companies bill you every 2 or 3 months, the smart move is to calculate the annual cost and divide it by 12. That way, you also account for winter when usage goes up. Let's say $85 electricity, $50 gas, $30 water, $20 internet, $10 phone. Then for food, $200 for groceries, the only essential item on the food list, and $40 for public transportation. That brings us to $810. So we'd actually need to trim the grocery budget slightly to land right at our $800 target for needs. Once your basic expenses are logged, we move to the second part of the rule. The next 30% is for your wants. This is the money you get to enjoy, the money you can spend without feeling guilty. This bucket covers eating out, going for drinks, that trip you keep thinking about, your hobbies, clothes you buy just because you want them, and subscriptions that keep you entertained. This part is key because budgeting isn't about becoming a monk who spends on nothing. It's about balance and actually enjoying the money you work so hard to earn. In our example, 30% of $1,600 is $480. From here, you decide what goes in. A little bit of gym, some eating out, Netflix, whatever you want, as long as you never go over that 30%. And finally, the money that builds your future and gives you peace of mind, the 20%. This money goes toward 2 things: saving and getting rid of debt. And the correct order is this. First, Build an emergency fund big enough to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses. Second, pay off debt, starting with whatever has the highest interest rate. And once that's handled, you start investing for your future. Ideally, you should set this 20% aside automatically the moment you get paid. If you never see the money, you'll never spend it. In the spreadsheet, to keep things simple, let's say that 20%, $320, goes straight into automated savings. And with that, you'd have a perfectly structured savings plan built for both your present and your future. If we run that through a compound interest calculator, which you'll also find linked in the description, saving $320 a month for 20 years comes out to roughly $175,000, more than half of which is pure interest, money you never had to lift a finger for. But watch out, because one of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing what they want with what they need. If you're not sure where to put an expense, it's a want, period. And remember, this rule is a guide, not a law carved in stone. If you live in an extremely expensive city, maybe your needs really do eat up 60% of your income. In that case, trim your wants down to 20% and keep that 20% savings rate intact no matter what. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be consistent and to actually have a plan. Applying the 50-30-20 rule is about more than crunching numbers. It's about taking the wheel. It's about telling your money exactly where it needs to go instead of wondering where the hell it disappeared to. It gives you clarity. It removes stress. And it builds habits that compound over time. You don't have to wait until you earn more money to start. Start today, with whatever you currently have. If this reality check helped you, and you want to keep learning how to take control of your money, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss the next video. See you in the next one.